Yes,
Lovely.
beautiful. Well, I just started explaining that we had met on social media and that you'd had a similar journey to me. And I was really interested in bringing you on because you were very strategic in what you chose to do after your diagnosis. So,
Yes.
would you like to tell us a bit about your journey?
Okay, so I'm now 44. I turned 45 this year. So, just nothing was really going on for me. I'd never known anybody with breast cancer. So it was all a bit of a shock. So this time last year, or August last year, I had a lump in my breast. I went off to Bali for a week. Like it was there for about 2 months. I went to Bali. I did a juice fast. I'm right into health and nutrition and fasting, juice fasting, and also water fasting. So that
Hmm.
was a big thing. My body wasn't right for about 3 or 4 months. I was eating like the tiniest little bit of gluten and reacting to it and things like that. So I knew something wasn't quite up. So then when I did go to the doctor, I had the mammogram and a core biopsy, and it came back with cancer. So yes, that first week, what I did was I fasted, and much to my mum's, crazy. She thought I was crazy. She goes, "Why are you fasting?" And it's like I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how bad it was. I didn't know what sort or type of cancer it was, because breast cancer is different, sort of, the hormonal ones and the HER2 plus ones. I didn't know any of that, so I thought, well, I'm just going to just give it all a break. So I water fasted for 6 days until I knew exactly what it was, and then I could go for the plan ahead. It was the easiest fast I've ever done. I've done water fast before, and they've just like been tiresome and drudgery and like, but this time I had a reason. I was like, no, I'm going to
Mm.
cut out the sugar. I'm going to do all of this. It's like, no, whatever it is, I'm going to stop it in its tracks.
And just to interrupt there, there is so much research about the benefits of fasting, and yeah, it's becoming very, very popular. And people will even say that if you do choose to get chemotherapy, it can aid in making mainstream medications work better. Now, this is not, I absolutely am not a doctor, and you need to go away and do all of your
Absolutely.
research. But fasting, just in general, is very good for you. So even if you're just not eating for 12 hours overnight, it just gives your body a break. It gives your liver a break. And I say to people, if even not eating for one day is great. And they reckon that, I think it's about 72 hours, that in 72 hours you've got a whole new set of white blood cells. Now, I don't recommend that people just stop eating right now and not eat for or just drink water for the next 24, 48 hours. You need to be strategic. You need to
You do.
absolutely, come off those foods that are going to, give you the biggest headaches, and not basically you could just be putting your body into shock. I would slowly come off everything. If I was going to do a water fast now, I would take about 2 weeks to put myself in a position where I'm just, say, eating steamed vegetables, and then it's really easy for your body to just have a break for the 2 to 3 days that you might be doing a water fast. Anyway,
Absolutely.
back to your
I was,
story.
yeah, I was quite healthy anyway, and I already had a very clean
Yeah,
diet. So that next step was
yeah,
quite good. And
yeah,
I think it was
absolutely.
the fasting for me at that point was that I could take control, because there was something going on in my body going,
Yeah,
whoa, what is this? So let's just take it
yeah,
right back to the beginning and the basics, which was
yeah.
good. And then I just started some heavy nutrition, so vitamin C, magnesium. I'm already on a great multivitamin, so a nice natural product. So I just started taking that 3 times a day, and the magnesium and the I had iodine and a few other things added, but the iodine made me feel a bit woozy, so I stopped that. And then I also went down the track of essential oils, so the good old frankincense and a few different things as well. So
Yeah,
I just put it
yeah.
all together and just tried everything, everything. And that continued through I had surgery a couple of weeks later after diagnosis, and I had a lumpectomy. And from there, I had the chemotherapy I actually went back and had to have surgery again the second time because my underarm, where I had some nodes removed, got infected. So I had to go back in and have a bit more surgery.
Yeah.
And from there, and then some chemotherapy. And before I started chemotherapy, I just got very healthy. And through chemotherapy, I juiced and I ate watermelon at any point where I was feeling queasy, which I didn't get queasy very much. Luckily, I didn't have to have the steroids, so I didn't feel nauseous. I felt tired and drained and exhausted, but I didn't get the nauseous. And if I ever got hot and the hot flushes, which, you know, are a bit of a side effect, I'd just sit and munch on watermelon. It was my go-to, like, oh, how am I feeling? I was eating a quarter of a watermelon every day. It was great.
Yeah.
And the other thing I
Awesome.
really stuck on was an Ayurvedic rice dish called khichdi, and that is beautiful Indian rice with all the Indian like turmeric and all the other
Yeah.
spices and things like that with mung beans, and that just kept me. If I wasn't up for juicing, because juicing takes a bit of effort every day, I would have that every day as well. So I was like full on into it. And then once I finished the chemo, I did another fast just to clear it out of my system as soon as quickly as I could.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
And
That is so admirable, because it's such a scary time, but I think it's so empowering when we take positive action, whatever that is. You know, for you, it was the diet part was huge, and I think that diet needs to be a really huge part. Sometimes for people, it's just they're not in that space, and they get acupuncture, or they, you know, work with someone just to help them through the process. But I think if you're doing something, you, like you say, you feel in control, and it just gives
absolutely,
you that, it just changes your brain, doesn't it? You know, you
yeah.
just feel you feel strong, and you feel in control. And that was, I wish I could remember what I read, that there was this book that was talking about, oh, I can't even remember the name of the book. That, don't you hate that?
Yes, yes,
but
yes.
it was but it was but it was talking about taking action, and that when we take action, it just changes everything, and it
It
helps
does.
with our healing, helps with our mindset. And so, yeah, I was just really, really interested to hear your story. And where are you now? How far is it? Only, it's
Oh,
only a year
just
then,
on the
isn't it?
taking action bit, I also took action to sit and watch Netflix all day as well. Like there was taking
Uh-huh.
action and doing stuff, and there was also a lot of relaxation and a lot of self-love. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't working, so I wasn't earning very much money, but I had savings,
Yeah.
so I would supplement my savings into a health account. So I would not feel guilty at all if I needed a massage at the local like shopping centre, if I needed a neck massage because I'd been sleeping uncomfortably, or if I needed more vitamin C and things like that. There was absolutely no guilt involved in spending that money during this time of healing, and that made it
Mm.
really important because it did take the stress away. So I mean,
Yeah.
money can be a
Yeah.
big stress at these times. And of course, at the beginning of this year, I went, okay, I can't go into my savings anymore. I'm just going to have to, you know, earn some money and stuff like that because I was well. I was, well,
Mm.
not as well as I
Mm.
would have liked to have been. But, you know, I sort of put a stop to that. And then that stress came in. So I was so grateful that for that 6 months while I was healing, it was all about me. It was all about
Yeah.
me, and I'd spend money on me, and it was self-love. I mean, I'd buy a pretty dress because I was, you know, I called it my chemo dress. It was summer and I'd wear this dress, and that was healing. And that came out of the health account. It was great.
Yeah.
But
Awesome.
you did ask me different
Awesome.
questions. Oh, where am I now? So it was a big shock. After finishing chemo, I did my beautiful fasting, and then I started radiation for 4 weeks. And
Hmm.
that was okay. It did put me off guard again. I started to eat a little bit of crap food. It sort of snuck in because I was tired, because I'd have to drive for 20 minutes to get to the hospital each day do my 10 minutes there, and then drive all the way back. So that was a big hour or an hour and a half out of my day every day, and it was exhausting. I dislike driving in the best of times, but so then I started, you know, just delving into a little bit of chocolate, a bit of this. I was over the bad part, I was over the hard part, so it was like, screw it, I'm just going to do it. All this, all that. And then I found that I went back to not feeling very well, and a lot of guilt came in as well. It was like, how could I be so healthy for so long, and then suddenly all the treatment's over and I've just gone back to my old ways? Like that was a really big shock to my system. I was like, oh my goodness. And it's only, I sort of was sat in that for about a month or two, and especially over Easter, or just eating chocolate. My skin broke out, everything happened. Oh my goodness. And as you can see, my hair's all growing back. I look like a bit of a Lego man at the moment. It's like, it's so thick and it's just sticking out. I'm sure it'll, you know, do its thing over time, but I'm very grateful that no grey hairs came back. Woo. I didn't have grey hairs in the first place. I thought if I had done chemo and grey hair came back, I would not be happy. So I'm back to my healthy eating now. I'm starting to like get back into my work and my passion, and work with people and women who I love to bits on their social media, and everything's in a bit more of a better flow now. My brain, oh my goodness, while I was working, going through chemo, I could only sit at the computer for an hour. It would be the longest hour in the earth. Like, and I go, okay, I've you know, very slow working, and then I couldn't do much. And now, of course, I'm feeling so much better. The chemo's cleared out of my system. Radiation probably need a bit longer to get rid of that, but healthy eating, and I feel so much better.
Chemo brain is a real thing. I didn't have chemo, fortunately, but I hear that it is a very real thing. Now, I just want to add in here that for anyone watching, that it doesn't matter how healthy you are, and you might be listening to Angie and, you know, thinking, oh gosh, you know, why is she worried about a little bit of chocolate? Her diet just sounds so amazing. Or it's, you know, all of us go in cycles, and I love to bring it back to a lifestyle. And yes, you know, I'm pretty good most of the time, but you know, I have holidays as well, and you know, things creep into my life. You know, I actually can see my boss is watching, and she knows that I eat dark chocolate nearly every day for the 3 days that I'm at work. I don't have it at home. You know, it's not about being perfect. It's about bringing foods into our diet that are going to help us kick cancer's butt. And I think I've been going through quite a little bit of a shift in the last couple of weeks, and I've been very focused on what we need to remove. So very focused on, you know, let's get rid of the alcohol, let's get rid of the dairy, the red meat, you know, processed foods, all that kind of thing. And I've kind of done a bit of a shift, because that can be quite confronting. And, you know, what did we do, you know, back 20 years ago? It was all about, let's just bring in the good foods and just crowd out the bad foods. So I've really been trying to bring that across, and let's just focus on making sure that we're eating greens and cruciferous vegetables and, you know, good sources, healthy sources of protein like beans and legumes and whole grains. And yes, so take that message on board, rather than feeling bad about yourself. Just go, okay, so what's one change that I can make today? You know, can I make sure that I am eating breakfast rather than skipping breakfast and then going for the coffee and the muffin at lunchtime? Let's start our day with, you know, an amazing bowl of porridge or oats soaked in, you know, something. I actually make a smoothie and then plonk my oats in that in the morning. So what do you do for brekkie, Angie?
I have a smoothie with a great protein shake and what are they called? The little purple things, you know, your little...
Oh, blueberries.
Yeah. There we go. Those little purple things, those little blue things, blueberries. Chuck some blueberries and some ice and some kefir. I've just started my first lot of kefir, but I can't seem to drink that, so I just put that in ice blocks and then put that into the smoothie. So instead of water, I've got my kefir.
Interesting.
And my daughter can't taste that either. And one thing that I have started probably 2 weeks ago is tapping. I don't know if you've done tapping before
Oh,
in my
yes.
practice
Yep.
with
Yep.
anybody, but that has really opened up sort of getting to the emotional side behind things, because
Yep.
breast cancer is an emotional journey as well. It's not just about the food or where you live or if you're happy or you're stressed. They all go into one big pot, and it's like, whoa, let's deal with this. But looking at the emotional side, using tapping is being really, really helpful, actually, just to clear the
Yeah, look,
emotions.
I could see, look back at my life and see that stress played a really big part for me. And I would say alcohol did as well. So, yeah.
I haven't drunk
And
for 15 years, probably. In my
wow.
20s, I had a
Yeah.
Crohn's disease, so like I had to sort
Uh-huh.
of give all that up then. I don't mind going overseas and having a few drinks. Like, you know,
Yeah.
if I'm from out of the country on a holiday, I seem to not have a hangover. But if I'm at home in my regular life and I have a drink, I just wake up going, why did I do that? So I don't.
I remember, actually, I do remember you saying that, and I remember saying to you that actually, in hindsight, getting Crohn's, you were actually lucky because it sets you on a path of, especially if you do some research and you realise that it is from food I'm eating,
Yes,
it sets you on a really healthy path.
it
You know,
did.
same as people who've had celiac disease or anything like that.
It did. I wasn't healthy in my
Absolutely, yeah.
20s. I had a lot of surgery. I was on all the drugs and things. And then I had a part of my bowel removed. And the doctor at the time said, I will see you in a couple of years' time. We'll just keep on taking bowel out until it's all gone. And I went, no, 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 no.
Wow.
So from that
Yeah.
point, I didn't take any medication and I did it all through food. Yeah, and healed it. So no more
Wow.
medication. I went back 4 years ago for my first colonoscopy, and it was a different doctor, and he said if my file wasn't that thick, he would have, you know, he couldn't see any inflammation. So yeah, I'm
Wow.
really, really
Wow.
into healing with food.
You are absolutely into taking control with what you put in your
Indeed,
mouth. And
indeed.
this is my biggest passion and it's why I encourage people to do experiments. Just experiment. Just,
Yes.
you know, come off wheat, for example, for 4 weeks, or come off dairy for 4 weeks. Actually, do the both two together. Um, and
Chucking
just see
sugar as
how
well.
you
Why
feel.
not?
Yeah.
While we're there. No, 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 not
Oh,
really.
I know. But just clean eating, really. If you just
Absolutely.
ate some good protein, whether that be animal or plant-based, I'll be definitely encouraging you to eat more plant-based than animal protein, lots of vegetables and fruit and some whole grains that aren't gluten, and like, you know, brown rice or quinoa and things like that, and just see how you feel. And in 4 weeks, if you feel absolutely amazing and you find that you are sleeping better, that you're waking up with energy, that you're not as anxious, that you don't have brain fog, then isn't that telling you something? Isn't that telling
It
you that this is
does. It
perhaps, you
does.
know, a way of life that you should be thinking about?
And then you
Um,
go out
and
one
I
weekend and
think,
eat a pizza and cake and you go, why do I feel so
yeah,
bad? But you know, that's
yeah.
life. And then you just know why you feel bad that you get back on, the plane again.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm not immune from that either. You know what I
No,
mean? I'll go
nobody is. We
and
are
have
all
some,
human.
that's right, we're all human. And I don't beat myself up about it. It's like, oh, that's why I don't have pizza. Or that's
Uh-huh,
why I
uh-huh,
don't,
uh-huh.
you know, do X, Y, and Z. It just serves to remind you about why you wanted to be eating clean in the first place. So yeah, it's great. And it's not scary if you tell yourself that this is just an experiment, just for the month of, you know, we're coming up to June, maybe just for June, let's give it a go
Perfect.
and give up those foods that we know that aren't doing us any good. And I think if we've had cancer, we do have that extra motivation. There's always um, that niggling thing in the back of our minds that we have faced our own mortality, and
Yeah.
perhaps, you know, there is some things that we can do, especially if you're new to this journey. There are things that you can do, that you can include in your diet, that are going to help your body, um, you know, fight cancer.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Indeed.
so thanks, gorgeous girl, for coming on
My
and
pleasure.
sharing your story. Now, you mentioned briefly, and I do know that you help women with their the social media side of their
Social
businesses. Is that
media,
right?
yes. I've found my
Yeah.
passion. I've got the most patience to sit with women and just go through where they're at and what they need and clean up, tidy up their business profile, make it all look pretty smick. I tutor in Canva, Facebook, and Instagram, and MailChimp as well. So that's what I do. That's what I love.
Love it. I love Canva. The first time I got on to Canva about, I don't know, 2.5 years ago, I got off crying, thinking I'm never going to be able to do this. So now I just get in there and
I
go,
know.
I love it.
It, yeah, it's just getting in there that first time and having
Oh,
somebody with you while you're playing around and just fonts and color
yeah,
selections and setting it all up. And then, yeah, I love
yeah,
to see
it,
women in their flow. I was doing social media for people, but it was jarring. It was like I couldn't get into their brains. But
oh, okay.
women,
So
like we
you
all have
actually,
so many ideas. We just get stuck on the
yeah,
technology, and that's where I'm at. That's where I'm there to
yeah.
help.
So what is your business called if people want to find you?
Uh, Social for Biz, social, the number four, biz.com.au.
Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome. Okay, thanks so much for chatting today. And
My pleasure.
thanks everyone for watching. We've had quite a few people watching, and thanks for sticking around. And I'll see you
Thank you.
next time.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye, Nick.